I'm going to take you experience the daily life of Chinese senior citizens.
Hangzhou is a typical second-tier city in China. If you walk through a public square here on a weekend, you might get the feeling that this is a thriving, energetic society. Everywhere you look, people are singing, dancing, playing chess, doing their exercises. But look a little closer at who is out here, and something starts to feel a little off. Because here's a number that might surprise you. China is now officially older than the United States. The median age in China has hit 40.1 years. In America, it's 39.1. I know that sounds backwards. But in just a few decades, China has rapidly transformed into what some are calling a nation of seniors, a country that's growing old before it ever got rich. So how did the world's most populous country get here so fast? The roots of this change are closely tied to one policy that lasted for decades, the one-child policy. Mei Fang, a former Wall Street Journal correspondent in China, wrote a whole book about it. Her argument? This was the most radical social experiment in Chinese history, more radical than the Great Leap Forward, more radical than the Cultural Revolution. It didn't just change how many kids people had. It rewired family structure and reshaped how people think about having children. You might wonder, why didn't similar theories cause disasters in the West? Back in the day, Stanford professor Paul Ehrlich predicted a population bomb would lead to global famine. He even floated the idea of adding sterilizing agents to the water supply or staple foods. Honestly, that's even more unhinged than China's forced abortion policy. But in democratic societies, crazy, unethical theories like that get checked by laws, voters, and public outcry. They don't get crowned as absolute truth. In China, however, with zero checks and balances, that large-scale experiment actually happened. The consequences can be summed up in three striking images, described by Chinese economist Gao Shangwen. The elderly are full of life, the middle-aged are full of despair, and the youth are just soulless. And for saying that out loud, he lost his job. Think about the kids. Millions of college grads are hitting the job market every year, but the chances of finding a decent job are cratering. Many are moving back to small towns or villages just to survive. Gao's data backs this up. After the pandemic, the younger a province is, the slower its consumption grows. The reason is simple. If you are broke, jobless, and lying flat at home, you've got zero spending power. But the hardest hit? That would be the middle-aged. I'm in this group myself, so let me tell you how it feels. People born in the 80s were born at the best of Chinese times, watching the economy take off, and the worst of times, buying a home just as the economy started to tank. The math is terrifying. A third of the income goes to the mortgage, 20% goes to after-school tutoring for their only child, and another 20% goes to income tax. That's almost nothing left. And that's if they keep their jobs. If they get laid off, the whole family collapses. To make matters worse, their homes are turning into underwater assets. In some cities, the value has dropped below what they still owe the bank. The stock market is bleeding out despite government stimulus, and bond yields are down to a pathetic 1%. No matter where you put your money, it's shrinking. They pour everything into their child's education, only to find that a degree isn't worth the paper it's printed on. Their kids work their tails off to graduate, only to face a dead end. This generation is squeezed from both sides, supporting aging parents and struggling kids, with absolutely no way out. In total contrast, you have the urban retirees with stable pensions. They are the only ones actually living it up. Their homes are paid off, their healthcare is covered, and their only job is to exercise, dance in the square, and hang out with friends. Today, the liveliest public spaces in Chinese cities often belong to the elderly. This is the unique weekend scene in modern China. The people with the most energy in the square are usually the ones with the grayest hair.